Welcome to the JBJ Management Podcast. I'm Willis Johnson, and today, because we've been going back and forth with who. Today is Samantha Gordon.
It is.
Glad
I'm
to have you
excited.
back.
I'm excited to be back.
Um, One of the things today we're going to talk a bit about the significance of networking. Um, and one of the things that you and I talked about 5 years ago,
Mhm.
when almost 5 years ago when you got started, was the ability to network. What do you think about networking? What do you think for a person who, by the way, is a germaphobe? We found that out. He's a germaphobe, and so you are afraid to get in front of people who have on masks or if they're coughing. If you're on the airplane and they're sneezing and going on, that's a
I'm
whole nother
not
story.
afraid. If I can avoid them, I will happily avoid them. And if I'm stuck there, then I'm stuck there, and whatever happens, happens. But if I can get some hand sanitizer close by or a Clorox wipe, I'll feel a little bit better.
It's hard to network if you're a germaphobe, but you
I
network.
make it work. I make it
So
work.
what does that mean to you from a business perspective?
I feel like relationships are built throughout your life. Like you're going to meet people and just carrying those relationships, whether it's networking for work or just meeting friends and friends of friends and having conversations with anybody. I feel like I'm able to have conversations with people because I've talked to other people, I've networked, I've learned about things, I've gotten a great education, I've been lucky enough to do. I just feel like I'm able to have conversations because I've been able to network all my life, and I was taught that at a young age. My entire family is fantastic networkers. They're really good at it. It's very similar to your family. I feel like your family is the same way. You kind of just teach the kids at an early age. You go out to a restaurant with your parents' friends and you learn to have a conversation with adults. That carries over into your professional career and how to have a conversation with anybody, because anybody, especially here, I feel like it's very prominent. Anyone can walk through the doors in
But
this
there,
office.
but there has to be in networking. There has to be a common denominator. There
That
has to be
connection.
something that you can visit with one
Mm-hmm.
another about. One of the fallacies to me of networking for people who have been economically impoverished or disadvantaged, they haven't traveled. So when you start talking about, I remember being in a conversation, Sam, with it's a friend of mine. It's a young guy who's overseeing Harold Simmons Park now. His name is Marcus Shropshire. Marcus, I say young, he's 43 years old. He's killing it. He's doing a great job for D.D. Rose and that team. But I was meeting with Marcus, with Ross Perot Jr., Mitch Hart, and at the time, Mayor Tom Leppard. This was several years ago. They were talking about China. They were talking about China like it was Oak Cliff. When you were in Beijing or when you went out, they were just talking about different neighborhoods. And Marcus and I said, we waited on them to finish talking about, but they had a commonality of having visited China, having traveled. How important is traveling in networking?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to. I feel like I haven't, at least out of the country, I haven't traveled that much.
Which surprised me, by the
Yeah.
way.
And so I feel like I can get by without talking about travel that much, but I do find myself asking more questions if it's about travel, because then it's more of like an eagerness to know more, to learn, to make a list and say, okay, well, that's on my bucket list. What would you recommend? And then kind of go from there and ask other places that they've traveled. And then I'm learning from that situation. So I think it's important to ask questions, and it's important to learn how to ask questions, especially if it's not something that you've done or know a lot about. I think you got to know how to do that. I think that's a great networking tool.
So let's talk about what are the other areas of crossover commonalities, the common denominator, because what we're driving the point home here is that people do business with people that they're comfortable with or that they know. So, what are the top three things that a business person that's trying to create some kind of synergy, what are the top three things you would say would be a common conversation?
Oh gosh, I feel like everyone always asks about your education, where you went to school, who do you cheer for, sports, anything like that. I
That's
feel like
true.
it's
That's true.
always. I think education and sports kind of. I don't want to put them together, but I think they're very similar. I think one just pretty organically leads to the other. So I would say that, depending on location, geographic location, I know a lot of people always talk about. If I'm networking here in Dallas, we're talking about Dallas places. Dallas is so well known for their restaurant scene. They have a fantastic restaurant scene here. And I feel like I talk a lot about that with other people. We always talk about new restaurants, what's opening up, especially if we're here in downtown and we're talking about the great restaurants that we go to as a team for lunch and things that we do around the downtown area because that's where we're located. So I feel like that's always a good one. And then I feel like family is a top one.
Hmm.
People always, if you know someone has a family or siblings or just something in general, you ask about their family. I think that's always a good one, especially kids.
When you talk about where'd you go to school, something kicked in my mind, and you'll appreciate this. R.C. Slocum, who is a icon
Mm-hmm.
in the world of Texas A&M.
Absolutely.
Um, I can still see R.C. Slocum sitting in my den talking to my son about coming to Texas A&M University. But it's something that he said. He said, these guys are signing these contracts on signing day. They're going to Notre Dame and they're going to Miami. They can't wait to get to Michigan or Nebraska. He said, but BJ, where are you going to live when you're done playing football in 4 years? And I remember BJ's answer was, well, probably Texas. He said, then you only got two choices for a guy of your caliber of
Mm-hmm.
football. It's either with me or with Mac Brown. Because when you're done, you want to do business,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to do business, and you're going to do business in a state.
Where they know your name. Absolutely.
So again, that's that form of networking where people know one another
Mm-hmm.
or comfortable with one another. And I have found if you're in Dallas, if you say SMU, doors open. Um, if you're in Texas, it is really A&M or the University of Texas. Now, it's not that the other state schools are any less popular. Well, maybe they are. Texas
Oh,
Tech.
I'd add Texas Tech in there. I have to.
Texas Tech is
I
not.
gotta plug them a little bit. I'd add Texas
They have
Tech
a
in there.
good football team this year.
Great
A&M has
basketball.
a good football team, which, by the way, A&M has never been to the national championship ever.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just not saying anything. We're hoping for the best. Leaving it at that.
But if you say so, but think about that. The University of North Texas, does it have the same fervor, flavor, feel of A&M or UT?
I almost want to call it like the weight of those schools. I feel like they carry a lot of weight in their names. I lean towards no. I in certain circles maybe absolutely. But just overall in general, I feel like the bigger those big state schools, UNT's big. I can't even say that because UNT is a huge school.
But it ain't A&M and it ain't Texas, unfortunately.
And is that athletics? Is it education? What is it? How does a school like that get? I feel like that's a whole other topic we could get to. Is how do you get those schools to be seen on the same level?
Because TCU said their enrollment went up several years ago when they played, when
Mm-hmm.
TCU had a good football team for several years, and then they played for the national championship. Their enrollment went up. So it's a fine line between academics, athletics.
Mm-hmm.
We say that they are student athletes, um, but with this, what is it, the portal and the NIL?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know if they really going to class. That's a whole. Let's focus on networking. Let's focus on networking. So we do a thing here at JBJ called Building Business Opportunities Luncheon. We've been doing that luncheon probably 15, 16 years. Um, Former Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings is quoted as saying it's the best business networker in Dallas. Um, and what we do, we feature different organizations each time. Like the last time we did it, it was UT Southwestern Children. It was FIFA. And so, and then you have the mayor and or the city manager in the room. Does it matter to you who is at a networking event? Does that determine whether you go or not?
If it's guest speakers, I feel like that has a little bit more sway. But if it's who's in the room, no. I feel like you can build a relationship and make a relationship with anyone, and that will always be something you carry with you. Regardless, if you never use that relationship, at least you're in the same city with these people for the most part, you're going to run into them somewhere. And it's nice to know somebody. It's nice to have a face in the crowd that you can say, oh, I do know them. I've met with them before. Let me go chat with them a little bit more, see what's going on. And you never know. It always could lead to something. So I would say the keynotes, they carry a little bit more weight sometimes as to if you're going to go to an event, that's going to be a really interesting speech. That's going to be a really interesting speaker. So yes, I would love to go see it. And then whoever's in the room, I'm happy to chat and talk with anybody.
I I asked our team the other day, I'm thinking about having another movie day.
I
You know,
missed the last one.
we we did The Godfather. That's a networking event, by the way, in more ways than one. But speaking of Godfathers and networking, there's this guy called Clarence Avant. He died in 2023 at 92 years old. But there's a documentary about Clarence Avant on Netflix. Samantha, I'm telling you, before you die and go wherever you're gonna go.
Am I going to go somewhere? I'm going to die for which one's first? Because that order, I'm not a fan. I know where I'm going after that.
you gotta see this documentary because it's to me it's the ultimate in networking.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, whether it was Barry Gordy who started Motown, or whether it was Bill Clinton or George Bush as president, or whether it was Dr. Martin Luther King, or it was I mean, you can go on and there's nobody you can't name. You throw out a name other than Taylor Swift because she wasn't born then. But if she had been born then, it was about networking. And he worked for a guy named Glazer who managed Louis Armstrong and all of those people. And he carried that thing into business. Barack Obama, I mean, he's the ultimate in networking. And so I just think that I encourage those of you who are listening and or watching, there's a video about Clarence Avant. It will teach you how to network. It will teach you how to it will encourage you on how to do business. Because at the end of the day, cold calling, which I've done, by the way, I used to sell yellow pages. I know y'all don't know anything about yellow pages.
I've seen them. They make a good fire, right? They make a good fire.
Back in the day, you had to sell yellow pages. They were this thick, but you had to go knock on the door. I'm selling yellow pages. This is for Southwestern Bell. Are you interested? Get out of here with that. I'm just telling you, that's cold calling is a challenge. But networking, referrals, somebody making a call before you got there, it's a game changer. So today we just wanted to kind of give you just some of the ups and downs and the top 3 things according to Samantha, who's a big networker here at JBJ. Sports, or what school you went to?
Education, yeah.
Education, family,
Local Dallas spots or local spots, depending on where you're at.
remember it, and she's good at this. That's what she said on the JBJ Management Podcast. I'm Willis Johnson with Samantha Gordon.